Every bill of lading says the same three words: said to contain. Nobody has looked. And if the ship gets into trouble, you pay to get your own box back. Every bill of lading in the world carries the same three words: said to contain. The shipping line does not know what is in your container. It has not looked. Nobody has looked. It knows the box's number, its weight as declared, and where it is going. What is inside is a claim on a piece of paper, and the entire trade runs on it. This turns out to be the point, not a flaw. Before the box, cargo was known. Every sack, crate, and drum was counted onto the ship by hand, stacked to fit the shape of the hold, and counted off again at the other end. A ship could sit in port for a week or more being loaded. Dockers knew what they were carrying, which is also why so much of it went missing. Cargo was individual, and everything about handling it was individual too. In April 1956, a converted oil tanker called the Ideal X left Newark for Houston, carrying 58 boxes on its deck. The man behind it, Malcom McLean, was not a shipping man. He was a trucker. He had spent years watching his own cargo get unpacked at the dock and repacked into a hold. And he had concluded the whole ritual was waste. The box was the obvious part. It is not what mattered. What mattered came in an engineer, Keith Tantlinger. He designed the corner castings, the 8 steel blocks that let a crane grab a box without knowing anything about it, and the twist lock that locks one box to the next. Then he talked McLean into giving the patents away, royalty-free, to the standards body. A competitor could copy them for nothing. That was the strategy. A standard is only worth something if everyone uses it. In 1968, the standard landed. ISO 668 fixed the dimensions and the ratings, and from that moment, a box was not a thing somebody built. It was a slot in a system. Any container fits any ship, any crane, any chassis, any train, anywhere on Earth, without anyone checking first. That is the invention, not the steel, the agreement. And an agreement has consequences that steel does not. Because once every box is interchangeable, a box stops being a container of goods and becomes a unit. Something you can count without opening. Something you can price without describing. Something you can insure, sell, mortgage, and argue about entirely on paper. Trade did not get faster because steel boxes are fast. It got faster because a box became a number. Ports went from weeks to hours, and the reason was clerical. So a shipping line does not sell you a voyage. It sells you a slot. Space for one box of a standard size on one sailing from one port to another. Lines even sell slots to each other, so a competitor's box travels on your ship because the space is generic and the box is generic. Neither party needs to know what is in it. The unit of trade is the space, not the cargo. Which is why the price is per box, not per ton, not per item, not per value. A 40-foot container of pillows and a 40-foot container of machine parts cost the same to move from Shanghai to Rotterdam. The contents are irrelevant to the invoice. To the ocean carrier, you are not shipping goods. You are renting a rectangle. It is the cleanest product in transport, and it has one hole in it. The ship cares enormously about weight, stack heights, lashing loads, stability. All of it depends on knowing what each box weighs. And for decades, nobody verified it. In 2007, the MSC Napoli broke its hull in a storm in the Channel. Investigators weighed the deck containers afterwards. 137 of 660 were wrong. Together, they were 312 tons heavier than the manifest said. Since July 2016, every container needs a verified gross mass before it can be loaded. No weight, no loading. But look at what the rule actually does. It makes the shipper prove the number. It does not make the carrier open the door. The system's answer to not knowing what is inside was a better declaration, not an inspection. Everywhere you look, the thing being fixed is the paper. And the paper is not a receipt. A bill of lading is a document of title. Whoever physically holds the original owns the goods, and the carrier releases the box to whoever presents it. Cargo can be sold 3 times mid-ocean without moving a millimeter, because what changes hands is the document. Steal the paper and you have stolen the cargo. For most of the container era, this thing was couriered around the world by air. Then there is the meter. A box gets a few days of free time at the terminal and a few more off dock. After that, the charges start. Demurrage inside the gate, detention outside it, per box, per day. Between April 2020 and December 2022, the 9 largest carriers collected about $11.7 billion in those 2 charges alone. Congestion is not only a cost, it is also a product. The freight rate you are quoted is not the price either. On top of it sit terminal handling charges at both ends, a bunker adjustment for fuel, congestion surcharges, peak season surcharges, documentation fees. On a cheap lane, the surcharges can exceed the freight itself. The number that gets negotiated is the one that is easiest to compare, which is exactly why it is the one that moves. Now the part nobody reads. If your box goes over the side, the carrier's liability is capped by treaty. Under the Hague-Visby rules, it is 666.67 special drawing rights per package, or 2 per kilogram, whichever is greater. Call it roughly $1,000 a package. A $100,000 machine, packed as 1 unit, is worth about that. If you want the real value covered, you insure it yourself. And it goes further. When a ship gets into serious trouble, the owner can declare general average, a rule older than the container and older than steam. Everyone with cargo aboard shares the cost of saving the voyage, whether or not their own box was affected. When the Ever Given grounded in the Suez Canal in 2021, general average was declared within days. Thousands of shippers who had done nothing wrong got a letter. The adjuster set salvage security at 42.5% of cargo value, plus an 11.5% deposit. A shipper with $100,000 of goods aboard had to put up $54,000 to get their own box released, which tells you where the load actually sits. The steel box was never the product. The product was a promise narrow enough to be identical every time, and everything the promise left out stayed with you. If you want more of these, the choke points, the systems, the things quietly holding everything up, subscribe. New video every week. And if this was worth your time, hit like. It genuinely helps.